Oh, now I got mixed personalities. She got me stressing, singing melodies. For her, I swear I catch a felony. Oh, Penelope.
YNW Melly is seen on camera looking completely shaken, begging for mercy. And what's caught on film is way worse than anyone could have imagined. His own crew turns their backs on him, and the pressure around him feels like it's caving in fast. Every second feels like it could be the end, but what really went down in that terrifying moment is something nobody was ready to hear. I've got everything you need to know, so let's rewind for a second. Before all this chaos, Melly's career was sky high. He was blowing up in the rap game, dropping hits left and right, but just when it seemed like nothing could stop him, everything started falling apart fast. And here's where things take a dark, twisted turn.
I'm just different. I got my own shit going on. I ain't trying to be like nobody else. You can't compare me to nobody. That's them. That ain't me. That's them. I gotta be me. I can mix shit they do that I like and get melly.
On October 26, 2018, two of his closest friends, Anthony DeAndre Williams, better known as YNW Sack Chaser, just 21 years old, and Christopher Jermaine Thomas Jr., aka YNW Juvie, only 19, were both tragically shot in Miramar, Florida after leaving a late-night studio session in Fort Lauderdale. These weren't random people. They were his brothers, his day ones, the guys who built their dreams together from the ground up.
I ain't no pastor, I ain't no nothing. I can't even tell the kids stay in school. That's the one for me. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you chase your dreams. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you don't give up on nothing.
But here's where it gets wild. That night, there were 4 people in the car, and where everyone sat inside that vehicle plays a massive role in what came next. Jamel Demons, better known as YNW Melly, was sitting in the back seat on the driver's side, while Cortland Malik Henry, also known as YNW Bortland, was behind the wheel.
It's a cracker, Melvin is a cracker. You thought he was black, but Melvin is a cracker, yeah.
In the front passenger seat sat Sack Chaser, and right next to Melly in the back was Juvie. But then things took a horrifying turn inside that Jeep. Shots were fired and the scene became pure chaos. Sack Chaser was hit several times, in the head, torso, and legs, and Juvie was struck too.
What type of woman do you like?
I like innocent girls.
I don't know.
What kind of girls you like?
Somebody that's smart, beautiful.
Taking multiple hits to his head and chest, investigators later said 8 rounds were fired in total from a .40 caliber or 10mm handgun, a weapon that, to this day, has never been found by police. That mystery gun became one of the biggest missing pieces in this entire case. After the shots rang out, Bortland drove the wounded men straight to Memorial Hospital Miramar, trying to make sense of the carnage. When cops questioned him, he claimed they'd been ambushed in a drive-by. That some unknown car pulled up on their left side, fired off rounds, and vanished into the night. At first, the story almost sounded believable, at least on the surface. But detectives weren't buying it for long. Once they dug into the forensics, they realized something didn't add up. Every bullet's path told the truth. The shots all came from inside the Jeep, mostly from the left rear seat where Melly was sitting. That shocking discovery flipped the whole case upside down.
Love is rage. Love is confusing. Sometimes you'll get love mixed up with infatuation. So love is actually dangerous. You could die behind love.
The drive-by tale wasn't just suspicious. It looked like a desperate cover-up for what police started calling an inside job. The forensic evidence told a story that nobody could deny, no matter how badly anyone wanted to believe something else. Investigators found a spent shell casing inside the Jeep, bagged up like someone had tried to clean the scene.
I don't know, bro. That shit just rhyme, bro. That shit sound good, though. I ain't never met a bitch named Penelope. I can't wait till Penelope, where you at, bitch? Come here.
Just picture that for a second. When a gun goes off, the casing ejects outward from the weapon. So how on earth would it end up inside the vehicle if the shots came from outside? It just doesn't make sense, and any seasoned detective would catch that detail instantly. By February 13th, 2019, things took a major turn. YNW Melly and YNW Bortland were both arrested and charged with 2 counts each of first-degree premeditated murder. The prosecution came out swinging with a theory that shocked everyone.
So you've been locked up a couple times, man.
Yeah.
And you've actually, that's when you seem to release music.
Yeah.
How does that go down? Please explain.
They claim Melly was the shooter, and the alleged motive? Money issues mixed with power plays. Reports said the victims had been making more money and slowly pulling away from the group, and prosecutors added that Melly might have been chasing higher status in the G-Shine Bloods by allegedly committing murder.
It's really, for me, like being locked up is just like a thinking box from like, because it's like the outside world. Like sometimes when you an artist and you too.
Meanwhile, Bortland was accused of helping stage the fake drive-by, lying to police, and covering the whole thing up. Both men pleaded not guilty, and from there, one of Florida's wildest, most dragged-out murder trials began. A case so long and tangled that it felt like it would never end.
It's like it's too much distraction outside. You need to box yourself in and sit back and think about what you want to do with your career.
But here's where things got even darker. The digital trail. Hours after the murders, someone messaged Melly on Instagram asking how he was holding up, and he allegedly replied, "I did that and shh." Investigators later found more messages where he supposedly praised Bortland's loyalty and even hinted at what went down that night.
What songs you want to put out, how you want to place them, who right for you and who not for you. That's what I look at jail for, and just to find, God, talk to God, and,
Cell phone tracking data and security cameras put all four of them together at the studio and then showed them heading down the same route where the shooting took place. And after it all happened, Melly's phone pinged again, this time showing that rapper Fredo Bang picked him up right after the chaos. Every new piece of evidence made the picture look worse, and soon the walls started closing in even tighter on Melly and his crew.
That doesn't mean that every time you go to record a new album or something, you're going to do something fucked up and get locked up. Okay, I'm just making sure.
I ain't going back.
Just
Hell
checking
no.
with you. Just check. You got to find a different box.
No, I done plant my whole everything. I ain't got to go back no more.
Every digital clue, every tiny breadcrumb kept pointing straight back to the guy sitting in that rear driver's side seat, YNW Melly. When his first trial kicked off in the summer of 2023, the tension was off the charts. The prosecution went all in, pushing for the death penalty, the absolute harshest punishment they could seek. For weeks, witness after witness took the stand, and expert after expert broke down the evidence until the courtroom felt like it was about to explode with pressure. But when the jury finally went to deliberate,
hell no. I go to jail for my song. If I got to, I'd do 5 years.
things didn't go as the state expected. On July 22nd, 2023, the case ended in a deadlock, a mistrial. Reports said the jury was split roughly 9-3, with 9 leaning toward convicting Melly on a lesser manslaughter charge, while 3 refused to say he was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That stalemate sent shockwaves through the case and gave Melly supporters something they hadn't had in years: hope.
When you were in jail, did you feel like, were you ever at a point where you felt like all hope was lost?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. When I first got locked up, because I ain't know what they was gonna do.
Almost overnight, the Free Melly wave took over the internet. Supporters flooded timelines, hashtags went viral, and fans even got Free Melly tattoos. His music stream shot through the roof, and people called him one of the most gifted melody makers of his generation.
I ain't know. I thought, damn. I was so young, I ain't know. I was like, damn. This before I made Murder on My Mind, I was like, man, hell nah, they finna give me a year.
Big-name celebs joined in too, posting in support and pushing the idea that Melly was a young black artist being crushed by a system that didn't want to see him win.
Yeah, some extra time and shit. I'm like, damn, they gonna forget about my ass.
Right.
Everybody gonna forget about me. Then I just kept praying. I just got confident again.
Nah, but they didn't. They were still putting out music while you were locked away, right?
But the state of Florida, they weren't done, not even close. 2 young men were gone, and prosecutors weren't about to let anyone walk away from a double murder case that heavy.
You can't, your ass gonna be there for a long time. You keep stressing. I just be happy, talk to God. Don't fuck too many niggas, but boom.
Are you a very spiritual person?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's dope. I like that.
Melvin is too. I took him to church.
So Melly and Melvin are both spiritual people.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, the state was already gearing up for round 2. And this time, they were coming back stronger, determined to make sure Melly wouldn't slip through the cracks again.
This was before anything.
Oh.
So it wasn't, I ain't had no, I don't have
So what
one
kept
song.
you going? Like what kept you going?
Just praying every day and just laughing. Like I don't stress in jail. Like
The retrial became a never-ending roller coaster. Scheduled, delayed, rescheduled, and postponed all over again. It was like watching a legal tug of war that refused to end. Every time the court tried to move forward, something new popped up. Defense motions to throw out evidence, prosecutors getting disqualified, endless appeals. It just went in circles.
Well, to say Bortland was going to a proffer, meaning he's going to tell in exchange for a plea deal to stay offer, which took 2 life sentences off the table. He would serve 10 in jail, followed by probation. If this man had 2 life sentences, that's what he was facing.
After all the back and forth, the new trial date was finally locked in for January 6th, 2027, almost 8 years after Melly's original arrest. Imagine that. 8 years of waiting, wondering, and living in total limbo, not knowing if you'll ever walk free again. That kind of pressure can break anyone. But then came September 2025.
And they gave this man 16 years. Said he would serve 10. He already been, if I heard it right, he's going to get 1,707 days credit time served, which is about 4.5 years, right? This man turned his back on his homie, man.
A month that flipped everything upside down in just 24 hours. Mark this date, September 9th, 2025, because it might go down as the day everything changed forever. It was just one day before jury selection was supposed to start for YNW Bortland's own trial. One day before he'd have to sit in front of that courtroom and face the chance of spending the rest of his life locked up. That's when Cortland Malik Henry made the move that stunned the entire hip-hop scene. A move that could seal his former friend's fate for good.
Melly's girlfriend was receiving nudes from Sax, one of the people that was killed. And you may say, well, okay, if I got a girlfriend and she's receiving nudes from my homeboy, that's a betrayal.
Cortland struck a deal with the state, a plea deal that flipped the whole case upside down. He pleaded no contest to 2 counts of being an accessory after the fact of first-degree murder, plus 2 extra charges connected to a 2023 witness tampering probe. In exchange for this deal, prosecutors agreed to drop the murder charges completely, along with the rest of the tampering counts. The news hit the internet like lightning.
But that's not a betrayal sufficient enough for me to murder this guy. That would be fair to say. But we need to understand, number one, that, you know, when this occurred, Melly still is young, and when it occurred, he was even younger. But if we're going to be honest, Melly is not all right in the head.
Fans, blogs, and rap insiders couldn't believe it. Bortland, the same man who once stood beside Melly as a brother, had just cut a deal that might end up being the final blow in this already legendary case. The betrayal was real. And now, everyone was wondering what Melly's next move would be.
So here's what happens. He goes and he testifies, or, you know, talks to the prosecutor in a proffer. His lawyer's there, the agents on the case are there, the prosecutor's there.
Let's break this down because most people don't realize just how bad this move really is for YNW Melly. After cutting that deal, Bortland was sentenced to 10 years in prison, followed by 6 years of probation. That's 16 years of total supervision.
They ask him whatever they want, right? And nothing he says can be held against him in that proffer. Nothing.
But here's the kicker. He already had more than 2,400 days, about 6.5 years, counted as time served from sitting in jail since his 2019 arrest. That means he's really only got around 3.5 years left behind bars before he walks out.
You know, and this is what they call a snitch session. He's taking a deal where he's getting, 10 years in.
His projected release date, January 6, 2032. So he went from facing life in prison, possibly never breathing free air again, to having a release date that's less than 7 years away. That's a massive turnaround, and the internet went crazy when the numbers dropped.
They drive these two to an ER, and then they get popped for murder. They said it was a drive-by, and they stopped the car, got out of the car, and shot at the car to make it look like a drive-by. But the problem is, when you look at the entrance wounds and the exit wounds of the two individuals that were shot, they came from this way. And you look at the fake shots, they came from this way. So, and nothing matched up.
But here's where the whole thing gets wild and why Melly's supporters are panicking right now. A huge part of Bortland's plea deal is something called a proffer session.
The forensics is like, yeah, there were 2 shootings, but there was really the first shooting that killed the 2 brothers.
Okay, and I want to be specific with my question. I understand there were 2 shootings, but it could make a difference in this case because obviously it's a life and death case.
Yeah.
Literally.
Basically, he's required to sit down with prosecutors and spill every detail of what really happened that night. He has to give a full, honest account. His role, everyone else's role, all of it. And in return, prosecutors can't directly use those statements against him later.
Could they show if it was multiple shooters?
Oh, multiple shooters.
Yes.
The forensics, they don't think so. From the angles of the bullets, from the trajectory of the rounds, from the stippling, it looks like it all came from the same gun.
This isn't optional. It's not something he can brush off or stay quiet about. It's mandatory. He has to talk if he wants that deal to stand. Now here's where things get even more intense. Legal experts started chiming in to explain just how damaging this could be for Melly. Criminal lawyer Bruce Rivers even broke it down in simple terms, making it crystal clear this kind of proffer could be the turning point in the whole case. What Bortland says in that room might decide whether Melly ever walks free again.
Murder, not when 2 young men were dead.
They're not going to dismiss a double homicide where you're looking at the death penalty. They're just not going to. And Melly probably isn't going to take any kind of deal because any kind of deal that they would give him would be life without parole. And he's not going to.
When criminal lawyer Bruce Rivers said, Melly's goose is kind of cooked, those words hit hard, like a chill running down the spine of anyone who's been keeping up with this case. Coming from an experienced defense attorney, that statement meant one thing loud and clear. This plea deal could be the final blow for YNW Melly. See, Bortland wasn't just some bystander. He was the driver the night those shots went off. That makes him one of the most critical players in the whole story.
Yeah, so theoretically, Phillips said, Bortland could now be called as a witness in Melly's upcoming trial. He could testify for Melly or against Melly.
And with his new deal, his proffer session is expected to include a sworn statement detailing exactly what Melly did that night. If what he says lines up with the forensic evidence, like gunpowder residue reportedly found on Melly, or with other witness accounts prosecutors have been stacking for years, then it could tie everything together perfectly for the state.
But my guess is if he's agreeing to do a proffer, he's going to snitch. I expect that to be the case, Phillips said. If they subpoena him, he can no longer take the Fifth Amendment on these issues. A judge can't compel him to testify now because double jeopardy's attached.
Legal analyst John M. Phillips, who represents one of the victims' families in the civil case, has already predicted what's coming. He believes Bortland will testify that Melly either stepped out of the car to shoot or fired from inside the vehicle, finally answering one of the biggest questions of the entire investigation, Melly's exact position during those deadly moments.
Yeah. You know how many takes pleas? That's what I've been trying to tell y'all. If I'm saying I didn't do it, we didn't do it, you take a plea, you saying we did it. Even though you're saying no contest, you snitching.
Even if he doesn't have to say, he doesn't have to testify, make a statement, that's still snitching.
And here's where things get really dangerous for Melly's defense. There's a legal technicality that flips the game completely. Because Bortland's own case is now resolved, double jeopardy protections kick in. That means he can't plead the Fifth Amendment anymore. He's got zero room to stay silent. To put it simply, if prosecutors call Bortland to the stand during Melly's retrial, he's got to talk. He can't refuse, can't dodge, can't hide behind the Fifth. That protection's gone for good. Whatever they ask, he has to answer. It's like the state owns his testimony now, and that's exactly why everyone's saying this move might have just sealed Melly's fate once and for all. The streets went wild the second news of Bortland's plea deal dropped, and the backlash was vicious. People who once praised him for staying solid started turning on him overnight, calling him every name imaginable. The reactions were ruthless, and one of the loudest voices was none other than Charleston White, who didn't hold back for a second. He came out swinging with his usual unfiltered opinions, blasting Bortland for flipping on Melly. Trying to clear his name, Bortland later spoke out publicly about the deal. He reportedly denied that it meant he was snitching on Melly and insisted he was still loyal to the YNW family. But legal experts weren't buying that story for a minute. Across the board, analysts and attorneys said the same thing. When you sit down with prosecutors and start laying out every detail you know about a case, that's not loyalty, that's cooperation. No matter how you spin it, that kind of move helps the state build their case against your co-defendant. And just when fans thought the drama couldn't get any messier, it did. Only weeks after Bortland's plea deal rocked the hip-hop scene, leaked police interrogation footage from 2018 suddenly resurfaced online. The clip featured Jacobe Mills, one of Melly's close associates who was there during the events surrounding the October 2018 murders. The footage spread like wildfire across social media, from X to Instagram to YouTube, racking up millions of views in just a few days. And what Mills said in that interrogation room had everyone's jaws dropping. The video painted him as torn, caught between keeping his loyalty to the crew and his guilt over what happened to Juvie, who he described as an innocent light in their community. That emotional confession added a whole new layer to the story, and it left the hip-hop world stunned. Between Bortland's deal and Mills's leaked statements, the pressure on Melly hit an all-time high, and suddenly, his once loyal circle looked more like a house of cards collapsing in real time. In the leaked footage, Jacobe Mills looks visibly torn, trying to hold himself together as the pressure builds. At one point, he even says, "If y'all turn these cameras off, I'll tell y'all what y'all want to know," while quickly adding, "I ain't no snitch, dog." You can feel the internal struggle. He's stuck between keeping loyalty to his friends and speaking up for the ones who didn't make it home. It's like he knows that whatever he says next could completely change everything for Melly. But then, Mills starts talking, and once he does, the words don't stop. He begins laying out what he saw after the shooting, describing how he showed up at Fredo Bang's house and immediately noticed something felt off. He claims Melly was acting strange, trying to cry but with no tears coming. Mills says it didn't sit right with him, adding that Melly had already changed out of his club clothes into a tank top and gym shorts, almost like he was trying to switch up his whole vibe. According to Mills, what came next made things even weirder. Instead of seeking revenge or reacting like someone who just lost his closest friends, Melly reportedly decided to record music in the studio with Fredo Bang. Mills summed it up perfectly when he said, "If a real drive-by done spanked on our dogs, a man ain't gonna be sitting in front of Bang House," implying that the lack of retaliation didn't line up with the drive-by story at all. Then came the line that shook everyone who watched the video. Mills looked straight ahead and said, "I feel that was a setup." The footage captured him giving even more exact details, things only someone truly close to the situation could have known. His words didn't just sound emotional. They sounded like the missing puzzle pieces prosecutors had been searching for all along. In the interrogation, Mills starts dropping details that sound like only someone close to the scene could know. At one point, he looks straight at the detectives and asks, "Y'all ever found out where this really happened at, though? Did bullets come from inside or outside?" That one question alone made everyone pause. It showed he knew way more about the crime scene than the average person possibly could. Then he goes even deeper, describing what allegedly happened right after the shooting. Mills claims that Melly and Bortland got rid of the weapon, a bloodied .40 caliber pistol with a blue grip, by tossing it into some woods near a dumpster between 7 and 8 in the morning. He says another gun, a Tech 9, was never found at all. He also mentions that the crew ditched their phones, swapped them for new ones, and that there was blood on Melly's brown man purse from the studio that same night. These kinds of details aren't just random. They paint a chilling picture of what investigators think happened behind the scenes. Throughout the video, Mills keeps swinging between cooperation and hesitation. He tells the detectives, "I'm not saying you're snitching. You gotta point me in the right direction. You gotta help me look." It's clear he's scared. His voice even shakes as he says, "They gonna kill me." You can see he's terrified of retaliation, but at the same time, there's a spark of guilt that keeps breaking through. He suddenly asks, "Are you doing Juvie justice? He's in that grave." That line hits hard because it's not just words. It's a man torn between fear and loyalty, haunted by what happened and trying to do right by a friend who's never coming back. It's heavy stuff, and it shows how deep this case really runs. And now, with all these layers stacking up, YNW Melly's situation looks worse than ever. He's still sitting in Broward County Jail, where he's been locked up for over 2,500 days as of late 2025. That's nearly 7 years behind bars with no bond and no sign of release before trial. Just think about that for a second. 7 years in limbo, waiting to find out if he'll ever walk free again. The hope that once fueled his fans is starting to fade, and the reality of this case has never looked more brutal. Over 2,500 days. That's almost 7 long years locked away without a single conviction, without a jury ever saying he's guilty. YNW Melly's been sitting in that cell just waiting for his day in court. When they first arrested him, he was only 19 years old, barely an adult, still figuring out life. Now he's 26, about to turn 27, and everything that's supposed to shape your young adult years. Finding yourself chasing dreams, building a career, starting a family, all of it has slipped away behind the walls of a county jail. It's wild when you really think about it. Almost his entire adult life has been spent locked up, waiting for a verdict that still hasn't come. And here's the twist that keeps everyone debating. The evidence against Melly is completely circumstantial. There's no murder weapon, no direct eyewitness who saw the actual shooting, and no hard physical proof that ties his hand to the trigger. But even with that, the state's case is still powerful because the forensic clues, digital data, and the scene setup all seem to line up in a way that points right back to him. And now, after Bortland's cooperation and the leaked interrogation footage from Jacobe Mills, prosecutors have something they didn't have before. People who are willing to talk. People who were there, who saw things, who know details that only insiders could possibly reveal. According to investigators, everything comes down to one shooter, one gun, and 2 lives lost. And forensics suggest that the shooter was sitting exactly where Melly sat that night. That's the piece of the puzzle prosecutors keep circling back to, and it's the one they believe will finally seal their case. In September 2025, Melly made another big move. He fired his entire legal team and brought in new representation, including attorney Drew Findling, who's famous for defending other high-profile artists like NBA YoungBoy. With new lawyers on his side and the pressure building from all directions, Melly's preparing to face what could be the fight of his life, a retrial where everything and everyone is now stacked against him. This major legal shakeup came right after Bortland's plea deal, a clear sign that Melly's camp realized it was time to switch everything up. His old defense strategy wasn't cutting it anymore. The game had changed, and they needed fresh minds, new angles, and a completely different plan if they had any shot at fighting what's coming next. The pressure's higher than ever, and the options are shrinking fast. At this point, Melly's defense has only a handful of ways to push back. One possible approach is to attack the credibility of Bortland's plea, arguing that he only cut a deal because it benefited him, that he might be exaggerating or lying to save himself. They could also try to shift the blame toward Bortland, claiming he was the main actor all along. Or maybe they'll highlight Bortland's witness tampering history, using it to paint him as unreliable and untrustworthy. Some legal watchers are even whispering about another possibility, that Melly could strike his own plea deal to avoid the death penalty, which prosecutors mentioned early in the case. But here's the big question. Would he ever take it? Would YNW Melly, who's insisted he's innocent from day one, really agree to a deal that could mean spending the rest of his life in prison with no chance of parole? That decision could define everything, not just his freedom, but his legacy. And that brings us to what this case has done to his once skyrocketing career, a career that was bursting with potential before it all came crashing down. Since his 2019 arrest, Melly still managed to pull in 16 RIAA Platinum and Gold certifications, most of it from music he dropped before jail. His total streams have now topped 10.7 billion, a mind-blowing number for someone behind bars. Even locked up, he's been trying to keep his name alive, releasing tracks from pre-recorded vocals and dropping projects that kept fans tuned in. His album Melly vs. Melvin debuted at number 8 on the Billboard 200 back in 2019, and Just a Matter of Slime hit number 11 in 2021. Those numbers prove his fan base never stopped listening. But now, the cracks are starting to show. The controversy, the endless delays, and the weight of the case are all catching up, and no amount of hits can drown out what's happening in that courtroom. Melly's 2024 project, Young New Wave, marked a tough chapter in his career. It didn't even chart on the Billboard 200, and both fans and critics tore it apart. After more than 6 years behind bars, it's clear that time has completely frozen his music career while the world kept spinning forward. In an industry that moves fast, Melly's been stuck in place, unable to tour, shoot videos, hit studios freely, or show up in person to connect with fans. And that's the hard truth. In today's rap game, presence is everything. You can't build a real fan base from a jail cell, and you definitely can't keep momentum alive through limited prison phone calls. Every album he's dropped since his arrest has performed worse than the one before, both critically and commercially. The decline is clear, and it's painful for fans who remember how unstoppable he once seemed. But even with his career on pause, the hip-hop world can't stop talking about him. The community is deeply divided. It's split between people who still swear by his innocence and others who believe justice has to be served. The conversations are heated, and the emotions around his name run deep. A number of Florida rap legends stood by him early on. Names like Kodak Black, Boosie Badazz, and Ace Hood all showed love and support. They saw Melly as a young, talented artist who got caught up in a case built mostly on circumstantial evidence. Boosie Badazz even attended his 2023 trial in person, live tweeting updates and showing genuine care about how things would turn out. Kodak Black was one of the loudest voices in Melly's corner, constantly posting "Free Melly" and calling him a brother. And Meek Mill stepped in too, visiting Melly in jail and using his platform to highlight what he called harsh jail conditions and the fact that Melly had been denied bond for years. Meek even spoke on podcasts and social media to draw national attention to what was happening, turning Melly's legal fight into a major talking point across hip-hop circles. Still, as time drags on, it's getting harder for fans and peers alike to keep faith alive. The music, the fame, the legal drama, it's all become part of one massive story that's far from over. There's another side to this story that doesn't get nearly enough attention, the side of the victims' families. While social media stays busy pushing the Free Melly campaign, the people who lost their sons, the mothers of Sack Chaser and Juvie, are living a pain that words can't even begin to describe. For them, every hashtag, every post celebrating Melly's freedom feels like a slap in the face. During the 2023 trial, Juvie's mother spoke out publicly, breaking down as she called the movement disrespectful and heartbreaking. These weren't just names in a headline. Sack Chaser and Juvie were real people with real families, dreams, and lives ahead of them. Their loved ones have had to sit through years of court dates and online noise, watching millions of strangers cheer for the man accused of taking their children's lives. Just think about that for a second. Imagine losing your child and then watching the internet blow up with fans demanding freedom for the person accused of doing it. That's a pain that never fades no matter how many years pass. It's a side of the story that's raw, real, and too often forgotten in the chaos of celebrity and fame. And at the heart of it all, there's still one haunting question. Why? What could possibly drive someone to turn on their closest friends, the same people they grew up with and made music with? To this day, nobody has a solid answer, and there are theories, of course. Some say Melly's girlfriend was messaging one of the victims and it sparked jealousy. Others point to money, rumors of financial tension within the YNW crew, or whispers that the victims had threatened Melly's mom. But none of these reasons fully make sense. None of them truly explain how things could go so far that two young men ended up dead. Because no matter how messy friendships get, no one expects it to end in tragedy like this. People don't just take out their day ones over text or cash disputes. There has to be something deeper, something darker that hasn't come to light yet. And until that truth surfaces, this case will always feel unfinished, a mystery still tearing apart the people who once called each other family. And this is where the story reaches its darkest, most haunting twist, one that feels almost too tragic to believe. The song that made YNW Melly a star, the track that launched him into fame and changed his life forever, was called Murder on My Mind. The chilling part? It's a song about taking a life and feeling the weight of guilt afterward. It became his signature hit, the record that millions sang along to, and now it's the centerpiece of a real-life murder case. Prosecutors even tried to use those lyrics in court, claiming they showed his true mindset, pushing the idea that he had confessed in his music. That theory spread fast online, with casual fans and media outlets repeating it over and over. But here's the twist most people forget. That song came out more than a year before the shootings. Melly wrote those lyrics long before any of the tragic events ever happened. Still, the irony is hard to ignore. He made a song about murder and regret, and now he's sitting in a jail cell, accused of doing exactly what he once rapped about. It's a cruel full circle, one that blurs the line between art and life in a way that's almost too real to process. As of December 2025, Melly's future hangs by a thread. His retrial isn't even set to begin until January 2027, more than a year away. Prosecutors are still pushing for the death penalty, meaning that if he's convicted, the state of Florida could actually execute him for the murders of Sack Chaser and Juvie, two people he once called his brothers. Melly has already spent his entire prime behind bars, from age 19 to 26, the exact years when most artists hit their peak. Back in 2018 and 2019, he was one of the most talked about young rappers in the game, riding a wave of success that seemed unstoppable. But now, that momentum is gone, frozen in time while he waits to find out if his life, career, and legacy will ever move forward again. Without this case hanging over him, YNW Melly could have been one of the biggest names in hip-hop right now, standing shoulder to shoulder with artists like Rod Wave or Polo G. Instead, his career's been frozen in time, trapped behind walls and court dates, turning him into a cautionary tale, a reminder of how fast everything can crumble, no matter how bright your future looks. The leaked footage of Jacobe Mills torn between loyalty and truth, begging detectives not to make him snitch while still spilling devastating information, shows exactly how fragile loyalty becomes when freedom's on the line. And Bortland's plea deal just confirmed what many feared. Even years of friendship, years of standing side by side can collapse the moment someone's staring down a life sentence. Because when it comes to survival, when it's your life or someone else's, most people pick themselves. That's human nature. And Melly, he's learning that the hard way. Now he's still sitting in that Broward County jail cell watching his own circle fall apart piece by piece, old friends flipping, new leaks surfacing, and every move he ever made being used to paint a darker picture. He's waiting for a trial that keeps getting delayed, holding on to whatever hope he has left that maybe, just maybe, a jury will see something different. He's hoping those 12 people will look past all the messy evidence, the forensics, the texts that sound like confessions, the proffer sessions, the leaked interrogations, and still see enough doubt to give him a shot at freedom. But every new video, every headline, every ex-affiliate who decides to cooperate makes that path smaller and smaller until it might disappear completely. And that's the brutal truth. This is what happens when fame collides with street life, when loyalty gets tested under pressure, and when the music that once made you famous becomes your own haunting echo. This is what it looks like when the people who used to ride for you start choosing survival over silence. For YNW Melly, the walls aren't just closing in anymore. They might have already sealed shut. The only thing left now is the verdict, that one final decision in January 2027 that'll decide whether he breaks free or gets locked away forever. If you made it this far, show some love, like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this. We've got more wild stories, more exclusive updates, and more truth behind the headlines coming your way soon. See you in the next one.